I have been going through the toughest few weeks of 2025 recently. First, I got the news that an old friend I really cherished had passed away, and before I could even begin to process that, I learned that the dog of another close friend was also gone. It felt like one wave of grief after another, and I felt like I couldn't take even a small moment to myself to process everything. I kept receiving sad news while at the same time real life tasks kept piling up and all had a deadline. It left me with no room to pause or sit still with what I was feeling. The combination of personal loss and everyday pressure and some other stressful things made these past weeks incredibly anxious and overwhelming. During this time, I found myself reaching for the small rituals that usually bring me comfort. One of them is opening Steam and just scrolling, looking at new or upcoming indie games. I'm not always searching for something in particular, but sometimes I stumble across a game that feels like it was waiting for me. That is exactly what happened when I came across Herdling. The moment I saw the trailer and the screenshots, I thought to myself, this game will definitely make me feel better. It looked calm, heartfelt, and full of atmosphere. I had a feeling it would be the kind of experience that could ground me when everything else felt chaotic, and well, it did. Herdling is the newest game from Automotive, the creators of the Far series, and just like those games, Herdling delivers an atmospheric and wordless journey. But here, instead of traveling across desolate landscapes in a giant vehicle, we take on the role of a young shepherd who begins their story in a ruined city where we encounter our first Calicorn, a strange but gentle horned creature, and together we leave the urban ruins behind to explore the vast world. As the game continues, we find and rescue more Calicorns, and soon we're guiding an entire herd through plains, forests, mountains, and forgotten remnants of civilization. The Calicorns are the true heart of the game, and spending time with them is what makes Herdling feel so special. Each one of these creatures have their own presence, their own way of moving, and their own little personalities that shines through the more attention you pay to them. The bond we form with them feels so real, not just because of how they look or behave, but because of the way the game constantly asks you to interact with them in gentle ways. From the very beginning, Herdling is very smart about pulling you into this relationship. As soon as you meet a Calicorn, the first thing the game asks you to do is to give it a name. That simple act immediately creates an attachment because now this is not just another creature wandering around with you, it is someone you have named and claimed as part of your little family. But it does not stop there. These Calicorns need you to take care of them, and that care is expressed in many ways. You feed them when they're hungry or tired, you pet them when they need reassurance, you play with them to strengthen your bond, and you can even decorate them with little earrings and harnesses that give them a sense of individuality. It's not just cosmetic, it feels like you are acknowledging them as beings that matter. They begin to act like pets, but at the same time, more than pets. Almost companions who are on this journey with you. Because of these small interactions, each Calicorn stops being just a game mechanic and becomes a living presence in your herd that you look forward to spending time with. The more you travel together, the more their personalities come out. Some of them are bold and eager to rush ahead, others are timid and hang back, and you begin to notice their quirks in the way they move or respond to your guidance. Personally, I named each one the way I met them. Like, one of them was injured and needed rescuing, so I named it Pain, and one fell down from the rocks, so I named it Edge. It became a good way to remember each of them and how I first encountered them, and in my case, it gave the game even more depth and it made it even easier to care about them, which made the dangerous moments of the game hit so much harder. Herdling does not shy away from putting you in tense situations. There are many sequences where you have to guide your herd through dangerous dangerous environments, and the game leaves it entirely up to you whether or not they make it through unharmed. They can get injured and you can heal them by feeding them, or they can die. This is not a spoiler because it is a natural part of the game's rhythm, but when I saw one of my calicorns stumble and start bleeding, I genuinely felt that pain in my own skin. It was not just a character losing health points, it was a companion who had trusted me to guide them safely, and I had failed. That guilt and heartbreak is part of what makes the connection so strong. But good news, I know this would put off so many people from playing this game, and the devs definitely knew it too, so they added a calicorn immortality option that you can turn on in the settings. The controls feel very intuitive. You hold the shepherd's crook and stay behind the calicorns to direct their path. Sometimes you need to nudge them gently to keep them steady, other times you call on their full strength to unleash a stampede that sends them rushing forward with all their energy. The way the controls create a natural rhythm between the player and the herd is so satisfying. It feels almost like learning to breathe together. I adored the visuals and the color palette of the Far games. They're so beautiful and atmospheric, but I never really felt a connection to controlling that big machine. I didn't have a real bond with it, and sometimes the puzzles felt so complex or tricky that they became frustrating and even a bit boring for me. Herdling is very different in that way. There are no logic puzzles to solve, though there are occasionally specific points you need to interact with to progress, and sometimes they can be hard to notice. If you miss them, you end up running around a bit trying to figure out what to do next, which is honestly my only con about the game. Apart from that, everything else feels so fluid and intuitive. The visual style is just as gorgeous as the Far games, but this time you are in charge of something living. You're not controlling a machine. You are caring for your herd, which makes the experience feel much more alive. The journey is completely linear with no side quests or distractions, which makes it even more focused and personal. Games like this, where you can just follow a clear path and immerse yourself fully without getting pulled in 50 directions, feel like such a breath of fresh air. If you enjoy games that tell their story in this kind of quiet, wordless way, like the Far games, Chris, Journey, I think you will absolutely love Herdling. I also think some people can easily find it boring, and the game is definitely made for a specific audience in mind. Basically, you guide your herd through this journey and there is no dialogue, no action sequences, no complex puzzles, so if that sounds boring, then this probably wouldn't be a game you'll enjoy. But if you, like me, have been feeling really stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed with everything going on in life, I would strongly recommend setting aside a few hours just for yourself to play Herdling. Give yourself a little pocket of time where you don't think about deadlines, responsibilities, or anything else, and instead focus only on your herd and the journey you are on together. For me, it felt really therapeutic. Guiding the calicorns and taking care of them gave me a sense of calm and control that I had been missing during these recent tough weeks. It felt like a gentle reset for my mind. So I would really recommend Herdling to anyone who feels like they need a little emotional recharge or just wants to experience a game that is full of warmth, subtle beauty, and heartfelt companionship. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Herdling. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to hear if you are planning to play it, or if you have already played it. I would be so curious to know your thoughts about the game. I'll see you next week with a new video. Until then, stay cozy. Bye bye!